African countries, and I traveled this continent sufficiently to know that there are African countries that are doing well. They are trying. There is no nation without trials and tribulation. We are fond of talking about the United States of America as an exemplar of that which is good and bad. When they said in 1776 that they held certain truths to be self-evident, that all men were born equal, that they were endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable right, that among those who are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, were blacks included? No, they were not. Did they not fight a civil war? Yes, they did. Are they not frustrating people until 1963? Did George Floyd, was he not killed only recently? There is not a single nation without trials and tribulation. And we must therefore remind ourselves that we have the wherewithal to catapult Africa into a different orbit. In 1996, Thabo Mbeki talked about an African. Who is an African? Who are you? Define yourself first. The Chinese define themselves. The Indonesians define themselves. The Koreans define themselves. We must define ourselves and begin to believe in our institutions. You know, and I see it in this part of the world. When we want to look at our economy, we say, what does Moody's say? And Moody's is very moody when they come to Africa. McKinsey, an American outfit, they are the ones who come here and tell us how our economy is behaving. When the American dollar as much as sneezes, the naira goes into a coma. Why? 63 years after independence in Nigeria, 66 in Ghana, 61 in Kenya, and many other countries, we still believe that somebody else's currency is what must define us. 63 years after independence, we are still importing chicken as if our chicken forgot how to lay eggs. Now, for Africa to ask fundamental questions. Because if you ask the wrong questions, you'll get the wrong answers. And I'm suggesting to us that Africa is already asking those questions. You know, in the year 2013, African heads of states and government sat in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. That was during the chairmanship of South Africa's Nkosi and Dlamini Zuma. And they decided that we can no longer continue to live in this muck and mire. Africa must know progress. And they came up with Africa Agenda 2063. My sister spoke to it so very ably and eloquently and passionately. What we don't say is that during that week, Nkosi and Dlamini Zuma wrote an apology letter to Kwame Nkrumah, telling Kwame, we apologize. What we are doing now, you saw in 1963. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Now we are living through Africa Agenda 2063. We are living through the Sustainable Development Goals. And I'm not a Jewish prophet nor related to one, but I can confirm to you we will not fulfill any one of them. Time is now, as the cliche goes, when you are in a hole, you stop digging. And Africa must stop digging. And if we stop digging and we look at what we have, Africa Continental Free Trade Area says that we are going to trade amongst ourselves. In the world, Africa trades ourselves at best at 20%. Europe at about 70%, North America possibly 65%, Asia now going to 60%, Latin America going to 55%, Africa 20%. What must we do? We must stop certain things that stand in our way. Conflict. Look at Africa as I speak to you. Look at Sudan. For the last 2 months, there is no economic activity in Sudan. They are destroying what they once built. Even if you wanted to trade, who do you trade with? Generating as at now 2.5 million refugees. People are dying. Children who ought to be vaccinated in Sudan are not getting vaccinated. Here in your neighborhood in Cameroon, children have not gone to school for the last many years. Conflict. In northern Mali, the country is divided de facto into two. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, 120 armed groups, yet it is the busiest airspace in the continent of Africa. Minerals are being taken away to Europe and America. Central African Republic, the same. Libya, the same. Several months ago, I wrote to the chair of the African Union and to all African heads of state and said, convene a meeting with only one agenda item. What can we do to save Africa from this slide? Only 4 replied. That is the state of the continent of Africa. We must deal with the basic things. We must solve conflict.